Text. Text is one of those things you get for free with 3D printing. It can be placed anywhere and it can add zero cost to the part, but it can also ruin your part. So in this video, we're going to go through about how to do text correctly, how to place it, how to size it, and how to design it into your model so that you get all the benefits of text without all the issues that can come up if people do it incorrectly. So why is text important? Why do we care about this? Well, it's pretty useful, especially inside of 3D printing. Since it's something that's modifiable inside of the mesh, you can change serial numbers from one part to the next. You can put helper text around your piece in order to identify particular features and that kind of thing. You can add arrows pointing to holes. You can do all kinds of different things with text. You can name a map. All of this are obvious things to be done with text, and of course you can also slap somebody's name onto a part if it's custom for them. So it is an easy way of improving the feature quality of the part, so long as you do it in a way that doesn't endanger the part in some sort of a way. And with 3D printing, this is something that can all be done without adding a post-processing step to the part. In traditional manufacturing, if you have like a molded piece or even most machined parts, you would generally apply text in a post-processing step of like laser or UV printing or just a stamp of something on there in order to put on a serial number or identifier codes or helper text. Now, all of those can be used with 3D printing also, and indeed some of the techniques I'm going to show here can be used by those other processes. But the fundamental advantage of 3D printing is that it can generally apply all of this text for free. If you're comparing to machining, the addition of text is an extra machining move that can increase the cost quite dramatically, or you have the additional post-processing step, which adds to the cost generally. So 3D printing is one of these unique processes where when text is done correctly, it can be done effectively for free because it doesn't add a significant tool move that can endanger the part or endanger the tool or anything else. So it's a freebie that you get kind of like with textures and other sort of things we've talked about on this channel, but it lets you to where you can increase the value of the part really dramatically just by a change of the geometry without adding a bunch of extra cost. But again, this is only if it's done right. So let's go through the fundamentals of how to do text right with 3D printing. Well, the general sort of rules of 3D printing still apply. Make it fat, make it chunky, make it big as you possibly can. Those are the general rules of 3D printing. Make it rounded, don't have corners, don't have overhangs. All those things apply. But in a more specific sort of a context, it matters based on your tool size. For this video, we're using a 0.4mm nozzle because that is the standard across the planet, and we're using a 0.2 layer height, which is a good universal sort of standard for modifying cost and part quality and that kind of thing. We will also be using a matte black filament across the board so that you can see generally the main thing that needs to be seen, which is how the text appears when printed in these other sort of formats, and not have to worry about how different colors and stuff affect it. Obviously, if you try to do text on a white, you're going to see it a lot less than if you're doing it on a higher contrast material like a black or a red, because you just don't have the shadows when you have something really bright. So also, there's another tip for you. Avoid really light colors when you're trying to do text. But if you're using a 0.4mm nozzle, this restricts what kind of text you can do. If you're doing it on the top, you cannot have any feature smaller than 0.4mm. You have to ensure that your text is large enough to accommodate that. And equally, if you're on the side of the part or below, you also have to recognize this layer height advantage. The text cannot be thinner than 0.2mm. But we're going to get all into more detail about that here down the line because we're going to talk explicitly about how to do text on the top of the part, on the side of the part, and on the bottom of the part in a way where it doesn't cause any problems. So let's just go ahead and dive right in there. On the top, well, don't do text on the top. Like literally, just don't do text on the top. Text on the top is one of the worst places to do it unless you're doing really large block letters. Now, obviously, this is something that people will argue about because you have models like this out in the world where you have very small text on the top layer as a torture test in order to verify the quality of the nozzle. But literally, on this certified QC test print, you have text that is smaller than the diameter of the nozzle, and therefore you lose a lot of clarity on it. And again, also right here you can see white, not high contrast, those types of things. But text But text on the top is generally something to be avoided because it's very dependent on your machine, on the material you're running, on the flow characteristics of those materials. So even if you make a part and it prints well on your machine with your settings, if you then move over to white from black or from blue to purple, you can have radically different outputs because just the colorant in the material will change how that text behaves. And on the top, this is most pronounced because you can have gaps in lines and you have flow characteristics to where really tiny features just might not come out because the flow is not correct. This is like a perfect example of this, by the way. This is 2mm text printed on the top of this part, and you can see that you can't see it because it's so small that the features just aren't identified by the slicer or are not able to be administered as directly from a nozzle that is flowing out filament as would be possible otherwise. So you always want to go with very large block letters whenever you can. Now the question is, do you raise the text or do you embed the text? Personally, my own preference is almost never to raise the text if you have to do it on the top. It can come out okay, but again, you need it bigger, you need it blockier, everything else. Because inside of 3D printing, you want to reduce the number of retractions, the number of islands to move to. But when you raise letters like this, you have literally created at least the number of islands as the number of letters. This is contrasted to embedding the text on the top. If you embed the text on the top, now you might have a couple of islands for like the I's in the A or the E, but you generally have a very nice continuous flow to where you have really crisp letters. It creates really good contrast and you get an overall outline of the letters. But sometimes this aesthetic isn't very good because you have the outlines of the letters. The walls can start to change the appearance. So there's cosmetic decisions to be made about this. But if you are going for the most robustly manufacturable sort of a part, embed text on the top and make it as big as possible. And in general, just avoid putting text on the top because it creates a lot of variability and a lot of risk in how your part behaves. Now let's go ahead and talk about text on the bottom. The second worst place you should ever do this. Actually, it might even be the first worst. I'm not sure about this. We'll get to the side here in just a moment, so just stand by. That's where you should put text. But talking about the bottom, the reason you don't want to put it on the bottom is because the bottom is your first layer. When designing a 3D printed part, the first layer should be as simple as possible because this reduces failure rate, stains, problems, drags, all this kind of stuff. Just think about the letter E. The eyeball of the letter E. If that goes down onto the bed, the eye of the E can break loose and slide sideways or something if you just haven't wiped your bed down well enough. So you have all these really small features which again take a lot of retraction points because you're basically dealing with islands again. And if you're moving this along the bottom layer, if something warps a little bit or blends a little bit or doesn't flow quite correctly, on the second layer, it can take it and drag it, and that will then ruin your text. And what's even worse about this is that it ruins it at 1% of the print, and you do not see it until the entire print is finished. So you could have a giant part that prints for 24 hours, but if the first layer is messed up, it is entirely scrapped, and that is something to be avoided. Lastly, with text on the first layer, you start to lose control of it, because on the first layer, you can have side extrusion and elephant footing and these types of things where you can run into all sorts of issues that will mar or blend or merge your text in ways that you weren't looking for. So to be avoided at all costs. But many people try to do it for like branding because they're like, well, I have a standard part and I want my branding on it, but I don't want it on the side of the part where people have to stare at it. I just want like my website on the bottom. That's fair, but maybe eliminate the www because you know it's not 1994 and everybody knows how websites work. So just say joes3dprinting.com and maybe not use Joe's 3D Printing, find something cooler. Or put a logo on the bottom because a simplified logo on the bottom of your part can radically be a better thing that looks better than anything else. But, okay, so that's the general design rules. If you're going to put text on the bottom, number one, only make it 0.2 millimeters thick. What this does is you have one layer that cuts out the text and then the next layer up does the printing. And this gives you really great contrast because the next layer is just lines across the top. You don't have any support material underneath them, generated automatically or otherwise. So you get really good contrast on the text and you have it exposed to where it can break loose as little as possible. Never, text in the bottom, never cut it like 1 millimeter deep. Because even though you think that might look good, now you have the eye of the E sticking up 1 millimeter to where it's almost definitely going to get knocked loose and not show up in your final result. And if you can use text, avoid text that has isolated islands inside of it, which You know, there's so many fonts like that. I suppose you could use wingdings to avoid that sort of a situation, but you want to avoid disconnected features of the text so that they can't break loose. You want it as stable as possible. But anyhow, make the text as large as you possibly can. Make the components of the text all connected. You might do a slash through, something along those lines. Ideally, just use a logo, but cut it 1/4 millimeter deep, 0.2 millimeters deep, 20% of a millimeter deep, and so that it's just one single layer thick. You get good contrast, and then it's presented. If you're a really advanced user, a thing you can do is create text of a constant width and make it all about like 0.1 millimeters thick. The way to do this, what you do with this then, is your printer will outline the text, but all of it will squash together. So you will basically have this inscription of the walls from the text in the first layer, which creates a really good look, but this can get smeared by textured beds and that kind of stuff, so it's not super universal. But those are ways of doing text on the bottom. You basically just want to avoid the opportunity for something to go wrong. So if you don't have to have text on the bottom, don't put text on the bottom, because it will jack with everything. Now, the place where you should put text, on your sidewalls. Sidewalls are amazing because you always get really great contrast, really great crispness, and the text just looks better. So you want to put your text on the side whenever you can because it just comes out better. You also have higher resolution. On the top and bottom, you only have the resolution of the nozzle, which is 0.4. On the side, you have the resolution of the layer lines, which is 0.2. So you get double your resolution, double your crispness just by moving it to the side. It also looks more pro because you don't have to worry about something getting smeared or being a little bit wrong or having to tolerate some lower QC. It will always come out reliably because the text also is never removed. And you can see that difference in crispness right here. Here is 2 millimeter text on the left that is embedded in the sidewall. Here is it on the first layer. You obviously cannot read this, and this side, it almost is coming out to where it's okay. But there are rules about the design of the sidewalls as well. Many people really want to sink it deep into the side. Don't do that because now you're creating overhangs. And then they'll pull it out from the side. And don't do that because you'll create overhangs. With text on the sidewalls, you still want to be fairly subtle about it. Generally never embed it any deeper than 0.5 millimeter. And you really do not need to go deeper than 1/4 millimeter again, because you will have the contrast that you need. Right here is a really shallow set of text that is in that range of 1/2 to 0.25, to where you can obviously see that very well and it looks great, but you didn't have to dig it right into there. If you have it pulled way out, like in this case where we pulled it out about 1 millimeter, you start to see the sag in the bottom of the letters right there, which just makes it look cheap and chintzy like a cheap 3D printed part. And that's what you want to avoid. You want to make sure that it looks as crisp as possible. So this is 1 millimeter coming out, and this is a 0.5 millimeter coming out. You can see the difference in the quality of those is quite dramatic. So in order to avoid a cheap print, just be a practiced and good designer and don't pull it out very far, and now you have something that looks really, really good. And equally for inserting into the print, generally you want to embed in the side of the print because again, this is sinking in about 1/4 millimeter. This looks really good, it looks intentional, and it looks reminiscent of how other text is done. Machining will never have lofted text, embossed text. It will always be engraved. So when you do this, you can get something that looks a lot more like machine. Now on the side, you may not want your logo there. You may not want your website in the dead center of the side face of your part or something like that. This is very easy to fix. There are some simple design rules you can do here. Make sure that your text doesn't go any smaller than 3 millimeters on the side walls, preferably somewhere around 4 to 5 minimum, but you can stretch it down smaller if you want to. Embed it about 0.2 to 0.5 millimeters, and that's a nice crisp engraving of the text. And then if you don't want it to be ostentatious or ugly or cheap, go ahead and just put it down along the lower rim of your part, along the back, and then it's there where people can see it. It's low where it's not high profile, and it looks subtle and cool. But if you want to lean into this anymore, Apple does not print Apple across the back of the iPhone. They have the Apple logo. So get yourself a logo and put it on the back of your part so that now you have branding on it and you know nobody can steal your part, because some people use text as like watermarking for an STL. Use your logo, put it on a curved surface where nobody can crop it out, and now you have a really good, reliable way of doing it. Also, side note here, if you're using text on the bottom of your part as watermarking, that's one of the easiest things in the world to crop, so just don't do that. Avoid it, just don't do that. Keep text off the first layer. But Gabe, what about multicolor? Don't worry, I'm getting to multicolor. Multicolor is really popular right now for text and has been used on lots of parts and is often used. But the issue is that right now we're talking about production 3D printing, and multicolor is not very scalable. You end up reducing the volume you can produce and increasing the cost you can have, because multicolor right now is very wasteful and it takes up a big expensive machine for a long period of time in order to produce kind of a marginally better result. If you need multicolor, you probably should start looking at things like stickers and that kind of stuff. But there are ways of doing the same amount of contrast as multicolor without needing multicolor. Because what is color? Color is just the dispersion of light. If you want to control light, well, you can do that by controlling the surface of the part. So if you start out with a standard sort of a text embedded into the side of your part, you might not have enough contrast there, because really all you're getting are the outlines. But what you can do instead is actually texture the bottom of the text so that now you have more contrast because it's scattering light all the way across the surface. Using fuzzy skin as like a baseline in the bottom of your text is one of the greatest ways of creating really high contrast because it costs nothing, it does nothing extra to you. You can also do this on tops and bottoms by like giving it ribboning or striping, anything on the inside, maybe some polka dots, whatever. Don't do polka dots, that's a bad idea. Ignore what I just said, that's a terrible idea. You'll create a lot of islands at the top. Don't do that. But by creating texture in the bottom of your text, you can create that higher contrast. And if you really need multicolor, the best ways of doing it are actually to print a text plate separately that is then pressed into a slot on your separate core part. And that lets you get the contrast and the outlines and the highlighting of it all without having all the problems of multicolor, which slow down your print and increase the cost. Because if you're wanting to mass produce this, you need to optimize every penny at every point, and multicolor just doesn't do that for you. But you can create a really premium, nice look and feeling part with multicolor, but all the rules that I have discussed previously in this video still apply. Make the text big and chunky. Do not have islands. Try to avoid tops and bottoms. All those things still apply to multicolor text in order to create really good results, because you're still dealing with the tool size that you're stuck with. But if you really want multicolor, other things you can do are things like backing paper. Create a slot behind the text and then just insert a sheet back there, and now you have red text on a black background. And then you can continue all those types of tricks that are just more efficient than standard stuff. You can also upgrade custom stickers, have a clear vinyl sticker that sticks to the bottom, and now you have your branding down there with as much detail as you want. Printing can absolutely do multicolor text, but there are places where you want to use other processes that are more efficient. Even though the printer can, doesn't mean that it always should, because if you're doing mass production, you're trying to optimize and get to the most optimal solution you can get without a lot of trade-offs, with the fewest trade-offs you can get. So hopefully this has been useful to you. In general, put text on the side, make it as big as you possibly can, and don't make it any deeper than 0.5 millimeter, and that is all you need to know in order to do text really well. And then you can apply it on all of your parts as helper text, as branding, whatever you happen to need it for. And now you can get a part that has your name written on it, or a custom design, or whatever it happens to be, and you get all the benefits of text with really good contrast without having to need any special situations or ending up with something that ruins your part. Because there's nothing worse than putting a cursive signature on the first layer of a part and wanting it to be super cheap, because it's not going to be. But those tips will help you avoid all that. Have a great day, everybody.